Okay.
Oh, okay, I see, because it has the guest.
No beginning.
I do apologize. I didn't have the right file in there. I started to play something else. Okay, everybody, welcome to Talk Now Radio. This is your host, Royce the Redneck Radio Man. I'd like to apologize for any trouble getting the show on the road. The problem was with my webpage server. I went back to an old server. That should solve the problem. I'll get any bugs out between now and probably Monday. So, without further ado, our guest today is Alane Ferguson, and we're going to be talking about things ghostly and ghoulish. And she has got her own set of ghostly stories to share, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this. Just to let everybody know, I got a whole crowd on the phone talking to her now. So I guess we'll just start off right where we're at, and we're going to see where it goes. Alane, how are you doing today?
I am awesome. I'm just putting on Facebook that they can call now. Let me just take 1 second to re-enter your phone number. It's 832-632-7904.
That sounds right.
Okay. So now I'm posting that just because I know we had a lot of people trying to get in. I'm so sorry that didn't work, but it's all good. We had such a fun chat. So who's left on here on our little chat room here? Who's still here? Rose, are you still here?
I'm still here.
Savannah, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, yay! Okay, who else is on? Do you want to just chime in?
I'm Susan. I'm still here.
Hi, Susan.
Hey, Bestie. How you doing?
I am doing great. So let's start with, first of all, I'm known for doing forensics and scientific work in my books, and I have a forensic series that was put together. David Ehrman was my showrunner and writer. I had some producers get together. They pitched it to MTV, and a couple of weeks ago I found out that they passed on it, but they're still trying to market that around to different stations. But it didn't fit. MTV is actually, when I looked at their lineup, their reality shows almost exclusively. So they're trying to branch out. But that one was fun that we got to work. I got to talk with David Ehrman and his daughter Alexi. So she was just adorable and think up new ways to kill people. And then my next series is on the paranormal. So that's why I'm so happy that Royce invited me on to talk about what's been happening in the world of paranormal ghost hunting. I've expanded all of my equipment. I've done a lot more intensive ghost hunting. I had a very intense one with a woman named Dawn Abeda that may be calling in from Texas. I was specifically asked to help with a spirit and an entity that was haunting her house, and we did, and we certainly met him. So she, I hope, will be calling, but she might have had problems getting through. So I just can answer anything about my personal experience. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask, I know it might be redundant, but we did ask them off air, and I thought there were some really great questions being asked to me. So I'll turn it over to my chat room. So does anybody have anything they want to ask? Again, we'll pretend like we haven't already said this.
No problem. Well, this is Rose calling from Orlando, and my question was, what was your most frightening experience? And how do you protect yourself from something malevolent?
Caller, you're on the air, but you got somebody ahead of you. Sorry about that, folks.
Okay, I'm sorry. We'll get to you, Rose. And who do I have now that I'm speaking to?
I'm not exactly sure because I kind of did that one on the fly because I'm still having difficulties over here, and I acted before I thought. The people in the chat room are saying they can't get the player to work, so I was focused on that, and the thing popped up, and I just clicked it. But caller, who was it that just called?
This is Susan. I know I just called, so.
Okay.
I just called.
And who is this? I'm sorry, there's an echo on my end.
Yeah, I can hear it too. This is Susan in Fort Collins.
Hi, Susan. So you might be the newest caller, so.
Okay. Well, I do have can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I have a weird question. Hubby and I have been out looking for houses. We're looking to maybe go out into the country a little bit. And we looked at a house last week that parts of it are well over 100 years old. And there's just this really weird crawl space in part of the house. And it just hit me. I don't know. It kind of scared me, to be honest with you. And I thought, how could I tell if there was some type of, entity in a house? Or would I be able to know that?
Well, I think that's a really good question, Susan, and I'll just jump right in here and say, my knowledge is limited, so I'll tell you what I do know.
First of
all,
yeah,
you should have me come up and we'll sit in that crawl space with my equipment, and we'll see if we can get somebody to chat. And beyond that, if you get a feeling of unease, I always feel like you should sort of listen to your intuition, but know that there is nothing that is stronger than you. I think that if you approach things in the correct way, if there's a bad feeling, there's things that you can do to cleanse a home that can make it lighter and brighter and better, and just say, this is my home, and you're welcome to be here if we can coexist. Otherwise, this is going to be my space now. And I think that there's a lot of ways that people do different approaches with sage, cleansing, salt, but mostly I think prayer and putting your own feeling over that says, this is where I'm going to be. If it's a really nasty little feeling, that happened to my husband and myself when we actually passed on the house. Seriously, we did. And I'll tell you the true thing is when we found out later is that had been a devil worshiper's place. There's a pentagram and all this stuff in their basement. So we had just walked in and had a really bad feeling, and it turned out that our feeling was absolutely well-founded. And I thought, that's like way too big for me to take on. But I think you can do that.
Okay, because I asked the real estate lady, and I said, what is the rules on telling me history of this house and everything? And she said, if there's been a death or a murder, it does not have to be disclosed. And it wasn't a horrible feeling, but it was enough. I did think of you right off. I thought,
bring in the ghost team.
Wonder what she would think about this little door that when you open it up, it's just black back in there. And I even laughed and said, okay, I'd have to get a padlock on that immediately. And hubby's laughing at me, and the real estate lady's looking at me like, you are such an idiot. But I was like, no, it was just something kind of prickled in the back of my neck. And I was like, ooh, okay.
Especially if it's dark. But I trust prickles, and I trust that intuition. There's a variety and a range of people of how sensitive they are. I'm fairly sensitive. There are people who are more sensitive. There are people who are less sensitive. My sister Joni is amazingly sensitive. And, there's some people that could walk by and never turn a head and think nothing. And then there's other people that can get that feeling and that sense that there's something there. And I think that can be developed in people to be more sensitive. But sometimes you might want to stay in the ignorant column because it's a little bit easier. So, but I would just think, again, to remember that goes for people too. Cares for people too. And if there's something, there's a lot of debate of if you can get something darker that can come and cross over into a portal, and maybe somebody used it, or maybe your mind was just like it's so black, and sometimes it's a little freaky. Or there's a third idea, and that is if you've got a lot of electronical, that might be where wires are. If you've ever heard about that, there's sometimes those give off some EMF. You can take a meter in and they'll go off the scale, even if it's a dark cubby hole. And sometimes that electrical activity can actually make you feel kind of creeped out, and it's got a natural explanation. If there's a lot of wires crossing there, I've been to hot spots before that people have felt that are really prickly and like, oh, there's something weird and something's watching me. And there's actually a real explanation for that, where you can get too much bleeding out of electrical wires and circuitry. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
And it can give you that hair prickly thing. Yeah.
There was some pretty big electrical lines outside. And then inside, because the house is so old, it's been built onto, and down in the basement area where that crawl space was, oh my gosh, it was like a wiring nightmare.
Well, you see what I'm saying?
Wires went.
It could just be the wires. Yeah, it could just be wires, and you get an electrician in, and it all goes away. And it's made people actually. They've done research on it. They've had that feeling that somebody's watching them. They felt oppressed. They've had that prickly scalp. They've had that just this really weird, and they're just sensitive to too much overload. It's called a bleed that comes out, electrical bleeds. So if you have that checked out, that might be your answer.
Well, the easiest answer is I like another house better.
That's what I'm talking about. Moving on.
Yeah, we got, there's 3 more calls that came in, by the way.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, I don't know exactly who the last caller was. Go ahead, sir.
No, it was Nancy. It was Nancy.
Nancy.
No, this is Pat Galvin. I don't know where Nancy is, but let me ask you. Hello?
Hello. Hi, Pat.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the TV show Medium, and they spent a lot of time about crossing over. Have you had any experiences with that?
Oh, that's a really good question. I love Medium. I read the book by the author. She's actually been used quite a bit in real cases. I think she's the real deal. I think there's a lot that are not real. But I have tried. I've read books on how to create the light, and I would not say I have any evidence whatsoever that I could do it. I don't know if that's a special gift. But the woman who wrote the book she was the Claire Winkowski. Well, Marianne Winkowski, rather. I changed her name to Claire for my novel as a tribute to her. She was actually on Ghost Whisperer, and she would cross people over. And she said that if you concentrate really hard and you're protected with a white light, she creates a white light and crosses spirits over. My sister and I have held hands and tried it, but, there's really no ding, 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 hey, thanks, I'm gone in the light, bless you. You just sort of take a guess, and I don't know if, in my mind, if there was a white light, it was the size of like a pea. I don't know if it worked at all.
So do you think it's real? You think there is?
I think it's everyone's best guess, but to me it feels like it could be real. Her theory was that it actually dovetails with a lot of religions, that the soul hangs around the body. Depending on if you're the oldest, Judaism is 40 days, Christianity changed it to 3 days, but that the soul stayed around the body and then crossed into heaven. So that's actually people that think this is really out there or Wiccan or whatever. This is actually back in the tradition of Christianity and other religions before that. So there's the idea that the soul was around the body, usually to say goodbye to loved ones. Some people thought the period was longer, some people thought the period was shorter, and then they left. And I think that it might be true, especially if somebody has unfinished business, that they hang back. And Marianne Winkowski said that when that light that is there while the body has died, it's there and they can cross, but if it shrinks down and closes, they become earthbound. And she would make the light and cross them over. And then her books, plural, she says she can do that, and she says others can try it. I've tried it. It may be true. It may not be true. I don't think I had any special, I didn't see any light. I always try to be totally honest, but I think it's an intriguing premise, and maybe they're gifted people that actually can do that. My sister Joni would be better than I was, but I think that it makes sense to me that maybe that would explain ghosts and phenomenon. It's people that stay back, and then when they want to go, they can't. So that's her theory. What do you think, Pat?
Well, there's a lot of stuff about dying people seeing white lights and seeing people on the other side, a lot of science about that. So it seems feasible that white light has something to do with passing from death or from life to death. So I don't know. I haven't explored it much, but I thought it was an interesting concept. So thank you for your thoughts.
Oh, thank you for asking.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Pat.
Okay, this is Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. I'm not going to say my last name because it's on the radio, but there's a lot that I would love to talk to you about, but I want you to know that this is your longtime best friend from elementary school calling you to say hello.
Oh, my gosh, that's exactly who I thought it was. Are you serious, or are you messing with me?
I am dead serious, lady. It's me. No, I'm the only one that could tell you that we crashed your parents' car going the wrong way.
Daddy, don't listen. She was driving.
I was driving. Oh my goodness.
Love.
Hi, I'm gonna cry.
Oh my goodness, it's so good to hear your voice. This has been what, 40 years?
It's been at least that.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah, more like, 48 years, a lot of life.
Do you remember Savannah?
I do, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do. You know, Lainey, it's interesting. I was listening to the last. So first of all, it's just so great to hear your voice, and I don't want to take up your radio time by just saying hello, but I just have been waiting in the queue to just really. I'm so proud of you and what you're doing, and it's so perfect. And I remember back in our time where we would write plays and shows and put them on, and you're just one of the most creative, inventive, wonderful human beings on the planet, and it's just I'm just so happy for your success and what you're doing.
Nancy, that is so generous, and I swear to you on all that is holy, I swear to you, I had your picture out on my desk 2 days ago.
Are you serious?
I am absolutely straight honest, straight up. And I said, oh my gosh, I didn't remember that she was the head of the Lonnie Shays or whatever. Yeah, see? I'm telling you the truth. I had you on my desk.
Wow.
How weird is that?
That is it is unbelievable.
And I thought, I'd forgotten that. And I thought, she looks exactly the same. Dang it.
So much of what you write about are those kind of experiences that we can't really describe or explain, inside of the five senses. Because I over the weekend I'm so busy and go on Facebook from time to time, and I just slotted in there for a moment and saw that you were on the radio and thought I don't care what it takes. I'm going to stay on the phone until I get to say hello.
Oh, honey, write this down. And anybody can email me. It's aferguson@alaneferguson.com. So it's pretty easy. aferguson@alaneferguson.com. And just email me so we can stay in touch. So did you have anything, my darling, wonderful friend who helped me on my path to be a writer, because we were creative together. We did do things. Do you remember our shadow play where we burned my mom's comforter?
On the light bulb. I do.
Yeah. See, sorry, everybody who's listening. This is reminiscing that we did. We got into all kinds of trouble.
Oh, my God. Well, I have so many fabulous memories, and I was thinking about, like I said, I didn't want to take up your radio time, and I was thinking about, this is such serendipitous. This is not an accident that after really 40 some odd years that I get to speak with you. And, Lainey, there's a lot you may not know about my life and my lifetime, but I've had a lot of experiences of visiting the other side and also having, people visit me. I don't know if you know that I lost one of my children, Tyler, when he was almost 13 years old.
Was it at a national park?
Yes, at Zion's. At Zion's.
Do you know how I knew about that, Nancy? Do you want to talk about? See, I'm getting chills. Guys, sorry you have to listen to this, but I went down to do a book in Zion National Park.
I remember that.
And they told me about your son, and I said, are you kidding? That was my best friend. And I got totally freaked out because I was there right after.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is unreal, lady.
I wrote a book about right where you were, and it was just so strange to me. I've always thought we had these cords and binds that bound us together in odd ways.
There are. It's that was, you know, an amazing experience of life, you know, and death. And there's were so many times where I had dreams where Tyler would come and visit, and the most pronounced one was when he came and in the middle of the night, and we went flying, and he took me to the fall where he didn't fall off an edge. He literally slid over a waterfall, so over a roll in the rock, and I was just devastated to think that my son would have fallen 115 feet and been so terrified while he was falling. And he took me to the place and showed me that before he fell, that he split and his soul stayed on the top of the, you know, rock, and his body fell and died, you know, a physical death. And he stayed there with his sister, Brittany, who was there when he slid, because she saw him slide and couldn't do anything to save him. And interesting, isn't that amazing? Because I was mortified, and I couldn't sleep at night. It was just, I couldn't reconcile that. And then after that, a woman by the name of Jan was at the falls. It was spring break, and Emerald Pools is the most trafficked place in Zion's National Park, and it's what's called an advertised nuisance. They advertise people hiking it. And interestingly enough, it was the middle of the day when Tyler landed. He landed on the lower pools on the boulder. No children were at that site at the time, which is unheard of. So no children were traumatized by seeing him fall. There were a couple of adults, and one of them, her name was Jan. And she said she heard a noise like a large twig cracking, and she looked up, and she came to visit me, and she told me this story, and she said, Nancy, I want you to know, just to ease your heart, that when I looked up, first I realized that it was a child. Just a second. And, you know, and it was so horrible. She said, and then she said, what I want you to know is that all that fell was what was a rag doll. There was no life.
Oh, how comforting. I'm so sorry for that loss, and yet that is so beautiful. And I will tell you with Savannah, because you remember her, and I claim to people that do remember her, because her mom and dad are both gone now. And she was an only child, for those of you who don't know, who was murdered on Mother's Day. So that's why I'm writing her in this next book, and her legacy is so important to me, to keep her alive, at least in print. But I, too, had one of those dreams that's not a dream. They're more intense than normal dreams. And I said, I need to know. I said, do you know, we were sitting in Fernwoods. Do you remember Fernwoods?
I do, the ice cream place.
Yes. And we were sitting there, and it's so vivid. And I said, honey, everyone thinks you're dead. And I said, I need to bring you back. And she said, I know I am, and I'm all right. And I said, who killed you? Who killed you? Because at that point we didn't know. It took 5 years. And she looked at me and she said, she took my hand and she said, where I am, it doesn't matter anymore. Those questions and those things don't matter. And I said, just show me. And she kind of moved her hand, and I saw the outline of Robert Lloyd Sellers. He had long curly hair. He was backlit, but I couldn't see his face. But I saw what he was wearing, tight jeans. I saw this whole thing. And I said, I need his face. And she said, it doesn't matter. Not where I am. Those things no longer count. And she gave me so much peace. So I do think that they do come and talk to us through dreams, but they're different. Would you agree that you know when we have one of those?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, very much so. It's very, very different. And I'm sure, as you know, you're not talking through your mouth. You know, there's not, the communication is not through, it's just not the way that we do it here. It's a knowing and an understanding. And it's amazing. It was the most amazing thing, you know, and I think I heard you saying to that caller before, Lainey, that I think we all have that capacity, and there are people that are more open. You know, there's less stuff, I don't know how to say it another way, between a person and really being able to sense, to see, not through the eyes, to hear, but not through the, you know, through the ears, and to speak, but not through the mouth. And Tyler's father tried for years and years and years to see Tyler, because he heard, you know, my stories and then the story of his very best friend who Tyler visited, and literally pulled him at an upright position while he was sleeping and looked him in the eyes and said, "Ernie, you have to go tell my father that I'm okay and that I'm happy, and to please not be sad." You know, and those kind of experiences you just can't discount. And Ernie got in the car the next day and drove 300 miles to go to Tyler's father to let him know what Tyler had said to him. And, you know, and isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. For everyone who's listening in, this is so personal. I know you've been all jumped into what goes back for forever, and that we both suffered immeasurable loss. And, you know, for Nancy to know Savannah, and I knew about her son Tyler, but I wrote a story that got published, just shortly ago, and it's called Death is Only a Horizon. And
wow.
I have to have you read it, because that's what I talk about. And I was, actually the day before yesterday, I was doing a Skype in Nebraska with the class, and one of the questions was, "You seem to be obsessed with death." And I said, "No, quite the contrary. I'm obsessed with life." Because when we talk about what happens when we go, it means what we do here matters. We live intentionally, because we're all going to do this crossing over at some way or another. And I think that means to live hard, keep short accounts, love deeply, and help when we can, and see people in their true form, in the goodness of their souls. I call it SOUL, soul light, because I'm not obsessed with death. I'm obsessed with living. I'm obsessed with not letting time just go by. Because when we were together as young girls, I don't know if I told you this, but I'd seen in a dream that life was like a long cord, and on it there were beads. And every day, we didn't know how long our coil was, but you take a bead and you drop it off, and you're one day closer to the end. And no one knew how long, and I was maybe 8 when I dreamed that. But I never forgot it, because every day you take a bead and drop it off. And that doesn't mean sadness or the end, but it means use our days wisely and use our love intentionally, and to be kind and good. Because I think that's what matters, and I think family matters. And I think this is so cool that we got to connect.
And we're family. When we're family forever, and there is a purpose and a reason for us being so close, and so close in soul. It doesn't matter that it's been 45 years. And I just love you, and I'll get in touch with you so that we can talk some more. And just thank you for who you are on the planet, and what your soul is speaking, and what it provides for people to know and understand, and in all the different ways that you give your message, that you are a messenger. So thank you. And I love you deeply.
I'm just crying over here, and I can't believe I had your picture on my desk. I still can't believe that. That is so
I know.
weird.
I know. You have to take have to take a picture of it and send it to me on my Facebook page or something.
I will. You haven't changed at all, which is maddening, but I'm so happy for you. Really, but kind of not.
Well, that's because I looked like such a little kid when I was younger. So, and please give all of your family my love. Really,
I will give them all your love, and thank you so much for calling in. Love you, sweetie.
Love you. Bye. Take care of yourself. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, honey.
Okay, bye.
And thanks for